All right, we made it out to Hammertown 2025. You can see the beautiful snow back on the mountains. Got stuck in traffic for an hour and a half trying to get in here, but we're here now. Time to drop the gate, get this race car out, start doing some work. Now it's time to get excited.
Should line them up. Makes the same noise.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it sounds like a turkey. You got a turkey sack.
But yours is so quiet.
Yeah,
yours is so quiet. That's all you can hear.
Must be the tires.
It's just like.
Jason, what are we doing?
Mountain. We're going to meet up with the guys at Radflo to pick up the new shocks for the car. Try to get some eyebox springs put on them, and then we're headed back, suit them up on the car, and get ready to go do some shock thinning. Got a truckload of eyebox springs to put on there. Yeah, the guys at eyebox looked it up. We've been back and forth in email chains and everything else trying to figure out what we were going to need, and they got it all set up. So hopefully the package hits pretty good right out of the gate. This is what everybody has kind of got together and said this should be where we need to be at. We'll get these all set up, go back, and we'll throw all the shocks on the car, set it down, see if the ride height lands about where we need to, and then start shock tuning from there.
And it's going to be a rock race this year. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I was pulling like 40 miles an hour through Turkey Claw.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're on 37, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. 16, 375, 300.
And these are all the same.
You tell me which you're looking for. Yeah, those are 250s.
So it looks like we're going to 10.
Where's that guy? We got these springs on there. Have you once you get them on the car, you have just like start getting it set up the right height that you want. So we'll leave some space on here just to make it. Are we looking for like a zero preload scenario, or how much preload are you guys wanting to see in the car?
So I mean, it kind of varies with between 1 and 3 inches usually.
Okay.
And it's kind of based on what you want your ride height
Yeah,
to be as well.
yeah, exactly. That's just going to be based on where you want it to be sitting.
You got a lot of play with how much preload.
So but still shoot for about an inch preload minimum.
Yeah.
If not, we got a problem. And
Then we'll make a change to the
And then you
springs.
want to see dual rate collars about what, 2 inches above the deal, or you want them pretty much touching that ride, or?
So we want them to be usually the way we're starting because the shocks have a lot of bottom mount protection, so we're not really relying on the spring as much. We move that secondary out of the way just to start.
Okay.
And then as we start to need a little bit more to control the body roll, then we'll move it back down. And then also if we need to move it down to control the G out, then we'll do the same thing.
So we're just going to start off straight on combined rate and then work it in from there.
Exactly.
10-4?
Yeah, basically set your ride height and then set the secondaries where the spring won't coil bind and
Nice.
start
There.
it one. Yeah.
Can do. That is a crazy beautiful shock in comparison to the factory stuff. What you really need to understand is on that factory shock, this has a regular piston that's going through the travel, and this is the DRT series, so it's got a ton of internal bypassing capability that these guys are going to help really get fine-tuned in to let the car really dance in the desert and still do well in the rocks. Church it up a little bit for the viewers at home. I'm super excited to do this.
Is that a thicker shock than what's on there?
So the front runs what we call like a 2.5, and then with a 3.0 rear. So this runs so it's a true 3.0 front and rear. And so with that, we got extra fluid capacity. We're running extra large reservoirs on here to just continue to increase the fluid capacity, especially as we get out here in the desert. The shocks are working so hard through the whoops that anything that we can do to fight fade is going to be the goal.
I think the really cool thing too is going to that 3.0 in the front, you're getting that much larger piston.
100%, yeah. So just the amount that just what you can do with it. Cool.
Are you guys picky about spring orientation and all that, being 180 out or anything?
No. So yeah, we.
It's close. They were both close. Is the reason I asked.
Yeah. Usually we'll set them 180 out just so that when they're rotating. Exactly.
No,
Yeah, and then so once you get it set on there, you can get the right height set, just kind of in the general area that you want it. What are you sitting at, Bailey? Do you know front and rear?
I'm loving somewhere in like the 16, 17 neighborhood. I really don't want to go higher than that unless you guys straight up tell me like it's not going to work unless we get it up higher.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. I'd love to keep it low.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the stability. So
Yeah.
we're seeing, we obviously see a little bit of a range come from 16 to some guys are running close to 19, even in the UTVs. So.
I know the Can-Am guys tend to love being set up a whole lot higher.
Yeah.
And I just come from riding low all the time. I'm used to it. We put very heavy duty skid plates on the car for the reason of I don't really care how many times it bottoms out on the rock side of things.
Exactly. Cool.
What are we looking like as far as shock tuning? Like, do you guys want to get back together and do this? Like, when you're trying to look at it, or
Yeah, we can do that. Or if you guys want to go out and get a first couple of runs and then just come to me with any feedback, we can
do that
start
too.
from there. And then from there, if we want to set up a time, and like, hey man, this thing works really good, we can come out and watch it. Or hey, I think it needs a little bit of work. That's what we can
yeah, I'd like to go out and just get a little seat time. That way, I can give you some straight feedback right out of the gate. We'll go out probably make a couple passes. I might take Phil and Wizzo out with him when we go out, and we'll go out with one of their tune sessions to get them to look at it too. That way, we get some feedback on some guys. The more heads we got in on, I think
100%. As fast as we can get this thing going.
better chance we got to get this thing dialed in really quickly.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, talk to you guys in a bit.
Thank you. Oh, Philly McGilty. Now I'm gonna cut him off because I know it's Philip. I was being polite because I didn't know. Oh. So this is the 2.5 Walker that came off. You can see the smaller body and everything in it. And then that's the Radflo 3.0 IBP that's going back on it. A real sweet feature on these two is you can adjust this little collar right here, and then you can rotate the reservoir anywhere you want to on the shock. So it'll fit perfect when you get it for a stock application, but for mine, I'm actually going to clock them around a little bit to make the adjusters easier to get to. And I was able to do that just loosening up one collar, adjusting it around, and then I can lock it back down in position.
Does it feel better?
Shocks are better. Need to figure out why the brakes are locking the whole car down though. I don't think I smoked the belt, but maybe.
Did you pull the cover off?
Yeah. I thought it was the belt or something wrong with the transmission or the clutching, because when you let off the gas, it like locked the brakes up. It turns out the brakes were just locking up. This is the first rock trail we ran since we swapped the Radflows in, and it's definitely a lot smoother. I think we're going to have a fight between getting the car to be really good in the desert and really good in the rocks. The more I push it to get it to where it's even faster in the desert, I think it's going to start hurting the rocks. So we've got to find a happy medium between the two. Right now, I'd say it's not too far off. It can carry pretty good speed in the desert, and it's not upset in the rocks. So.
And how does the clutching feel with the big 37s in the rocks?
In low range, it's prime. I'm not belt slipping. It's got plenty of power to turn them over. Back there in one section, I just wanted to get the front end up and over something, and I stood in it, and it just launched the front end right up and kind of wheelied through a section of the rocks. So it's got plenty of power to do it. The RCVs are putting up with everything it's getting thrown at them too, which is nice because, like, I'm honestly not worried about breaking an axle right now, and that's a new feeling for RZR riding.
So we picked up the shocks the other day in Hammertown, and it's a couple days later. Jason's got some seat time in the car, and we're headed out to like the legendary shock tuning place. It was kind of like the first place where we test and tune, and we've got the whole Radflo squad shock tuning crew out here. But yeah, now we're heading out to watch Radflo tune Jason's shocks, and we'll definitely learn a thing or two about shock tuning, especially on these internal bypass shocks, which is really exciting.
Light, so it'll show you a little bit of light.
How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Well, good.
Yeah, doing well. Happy hammers.
Right out of the box, the Radflo IBPs they put on here are epic. Like, we went from the stock shocks and you couldn't really get it going over 55 without the rear end just trying to jump over the front. Right out of the box, threw them on. I made a couple quick adjustments on them, and now we got Glenn and Nick and a couple of the other guys out here from Radflo to help dial it in, see if we can just get a little bit more speed out of the top end without sacrificing how it is in the rocks. Right now in the rocks, it's really good in the big rocks. It actually handles the nuisance rocks really well. I can carry pretty good speed through the, suitcase style boulders. So I don't want to get it too compliant in the desert and lose that feel in the rocks, because we do have a lot of rock racing to do.
I think the biggest thing from what we heard yesterday is it sounds like the car doesn't have enough spring preload into it. So we want to just check and see that the car's not oversprung, and if it is, we can try and do something on the rear to get that to settle down. After that, we can come back and this will also give us an idea of what the damping is. Being out here, there's a massive compromise between high-speed desert stuff and getting into the rocks, as Jason has just said. So you can't make the car too stiff to hit these big whoops at speed and then go out, and then you have no compliance in the rock. So I think it'll be good. We'll have a look and see. This is the first time I'm seeing the car run, so I'm excited to see this. Yeah, it's a great package I put together. That's pretty sweet.
That's quick.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing that we were looking at. Control that high-speed rebound so it doesn't just continue to accelerate. It's bypass and then it's happy.
Let's get it to come in.
So he made those changes to the compression adjuster in the rear to get it a little bit more. So I think that's taken away some of his wheel compliance and traction through here. You can see it's kind of skipping a little bit. So I want to go back out on the compression adjuster, but then go into the bypass and make that more progressive. And then on the rebound side, I would also like to just make it a little bit more control. So I think that the wheel is drooping out as quickly as it needs to, but then it gets to a point where it just gets past all the bypass valves and it just
I think it's oversprung.
accelerates.
How much preload do you have in the back, Jason?
Like none.
Yeah, so I think what we need to do, we need to put some preload in there just to help push that wheel out. Especially if we're gonna, with the rebound side. It looks like, the compression it's slowing it right down, but it looks like it's slowing it down with spring rate. It's not slowing it down with damping, So I think if we can, did you talk to the guys from Ibach and see if they have springs for you?
I can talk to him, yes.
Okay.
I think we need to be dropping spring rate, adding preload, and getting it to where the shock is actually doing more of the work instead of the spring.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And we got so much progressivity built into the shock that we really want to be using that.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is put 1.5 inches to 2 inches of preload into the back of the car.
So we need to drop probably maybe 100 pounds on each spring.
What are we looking at out there, Nicholas? Like a 250 over 300?
250 over 300.
Yeah.
So
I think the fronts are 250 over 250 maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's the front is, it's 250 over 300 in the front too. I think you've got hardly any preload in the front too, right?
Yeah, barely any. Like maybe a quarter of an inch.
As you said, it's a mission to get these shocks out of here, so that's not going to change.
Well, and the front doesn't feel bad. Everything I'm feeling feedback from the car is all rear stuff.
Yeah.
And what are you feeling in the car? Is it kicking the front forward, or what is it doing?
Instead of going through stuff like this, I'm going through it like this with little tail kicks.
Okay.
And
So-
I'm gonna throw another belt in it because like 65, 70 through there, you can feel the belt and the belt temp's going up. So we're just due for a belt too.
Okay. And so, how fast do you think you could go through here?
Maybe 80,
Okay.
maybe. If the belt will let it. We were getting 80, 85 yesterday, and I think the belt just...
Before we do anything else, I want to change the spring rate.
Yeah.
I don't want to change the spring rate and then I do something to the damping on the shock. Let's change the spring rate. That'll give us a better idea of what the rebound's doing, because it doesn't have all that spring rate pushing it out all the time, and it's kicking the front like this. You could overcome that with the crossover, just moving down a little bit to flare the front. But let's just do that. So let's head back to camp.
I'll get in touch with
Ibach and see if you
Ibach
can-
and try to figure out what's going on with getting 2 other springs. What would you recommend that we're trying to get?
So I was just doing some of the math right now. So we're sitting at a 250 over 300 if we dropped it down to like a 200 over 300. So a 250 over 300 is like a 136 just base spring rate. So if we dropped it down to like a 200 over 300, that drops it down to a 120. But if we drop it down to like a 200 over 250, that's like a 111.
That's, I think, where we need to be
Yeah,
at.
exactly. So we can just put
Yeah.
way more, at least an inch of
Because you're
preload
getting
into
straight
this.
into that secondary, like you've got 1 inch of travel and you're into that thing. So, I think it's just a little too firm. Yeah.
Yeah, in the spring for sure.
So if you're running at what do you say, at 200 over 250?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
and maybe just when you go to IBOC, just see what their different stages are. I can't remember which stage.
They said they gave us the heavy stage.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't really feel like it was going to need it, but it was what their recommendation was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think it's too heavy.
Yeah.
I think it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we'll make a change on that, and I think that'll be an instant help. And usually, what we like to do when we start with this is, we get the spring rate set, and we wind the secondaries completely out of the way, and only bring them down as we really need them for body roll control. And
Yeah.
As we go.
I had them all the way up
down.
starting. I've been dialing them down too.
Yeah. Just try to get the wheel to push.
Trying
it
to
out
see what it's
faster.
doing and see
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
I figured if we could get it over in a primary rate faster, that we might be getting more push off
Yeah.
out of the primary rate.
And
spring.
that's definitely like exactly along the path that we need to be doing. I just think that our general starting rate is too high, just
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
So let's do that. It'll be, if we can get the spring, it'll be a quick change. We can come back out and then we can see what the car is actually doing.
Let me get in touch with my guy over there and I'll see what I can get done.
All right.
Okay, sweet.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
There you go.
So today's the day, this is the time, this is the place. Well, that's going to be the place. Jason is qualifying tomorrow, so we're going to go run the car one more time to see where we're at. And if we need to make any changes, now's the time to do it, so let's get to it.
Awesome. The rock course is really, really bad this year, and with getting out to winch and this being my first time driving, I needed somebody with some experience in the passenger seat. Wizzo stepped up and said he wanted to do it, and I wouldn't ride with me, but he's cool with it, so that's what we're gonna do.
Chris, have you ever co-dogged in the race before?
Oh yeah, in 4400 class, not in side by sides, but plenty in 4400.
How does it feel to be out here on the lake bed, finally?
It's pretty awesome. My usual fashion, 2 minutes in, I've already broken something. Not even, driving fast. It just said, I'm gonna give up. Gonna sit here and watch Jason make a pass or two, and then I'll probably go and fix my junk. Saying it was what they thought it might be that's holding them up.
No,
Like belts or
they thought it was a belt. They just put a brand new belt on it. So he said it still just doesn't feel like it wants to pull. So they were wondering at camp while ago if they should change the weights on the clutch. But we haven't done that yet.
like engine and everything.
And everything seems fine. Check the filter. The filter looks brand new.
Now, was he saying that speed right there is heating the belt as well?
No, he said the belt really wasn't very hot. He said it was still pretty cool, but it's like it's not one to pull. You're talking he's already 10 miles an hour down from what he was. If it keeps getting worse, yesterday he was in the mid 80s. He said now he's barely breaking 70s.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, so I mean he's almost 10 mile an hour down now. If it keeps getting worse and everybody else is 10 to 15 mile an hour above, you're going to lose a lot of time in the desert lap.
The case and everything seemed pretty clean when they pulled it off, so it's not. I don't imagine there's a bunch of stuff getting off in there.
It does sound.
So much. I don't know if he's going.
Yeah, but I don't know. Brand new car, and this right here's the first time I've seen it. He's been here a whole week.
I think he said when they were on the lake bed the other day, Will said that he got up to 106.
Wow.
But I mean, that's lake bed. That's not.
Yeah, that's not the
all it
whoops.
is.
I have no frame of reference, but I know from the video the other day with the factories on it to now, that right there looks 1,000 times better.
It's slow though. I can't get the son of a bitch to come out of like 60, 65.
It doesn't sound like it's got any RPM to it.
It don't sound like, it don't feel like it's turning up all the way.
No, like it sounds like probably RPM.
Take it out, check the sensors and stuff back there and make sure.
Have you thought about doing the weights on the clutches?
Yeah.
Like y'all were talking about a while ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sit there. He just had it pinned. It didn't care. We just.
No, it's like it just hits up. It hits like almost like a rev limiter, just
Yeah.
and just flats.
You going like prep?
He swapped. That's why he swapped the fuel pumps. I guess he's got two.
Yeah, he's just trying the new, like, cause
Yeah.
he's got two in the tank.
Yeah.
So he's always been running off the one. He just tried to run the second one, but that right there sounded the exact
Yeah.
same.
Hey, what's the gauge reading up there on the fuel pressure regulator?
Where's it at?
Right under 100, like 90-ish.
90-ish?
Yeah. Hit that again. You're at 20 right there.
How much?
20. That's 100. That was just on. That's like 96, 98. That was just under 100.
What's it supposed to be?
58.
5.8. That's just over 40. What do you want it at?
It should be at like 58, 60.
That is. When you just revved it right there, it went to about 58, 56. That right there is almost dead on 50.
I turned both fuel pumps on, it's going to 100, but it didn't change the way it's running. It ain't got nothing from like mid-range up.
You have no, it doesn't sound like it ever, it's almost like it hits a,
Like a dead spot.
yeah, like a, I don't know, like a rev limiter or something. It just hits and just stops. It doesn't rev through.
You need to go back and plug the programmer into it and check the DTCs or something. Something's up, because it's not spooling on the top.
So we drove all through the weekend. I just got here. This thing was running pretty good. And then slowly it started losing power on Jason yesterday. We worked in the car late into last night trying a lot of different things. He woke up early this morning, went down to Hammertown. You talked to a Polaris engineer?
Yes, sir.
Polaris engineer about what may be going on with the car. The engineer, after Jason told him everything that he's already done, thinks maybe the injectors are halfway stuck open, I think is what he said. So right now, thankfully, Kevin Porterfield brought a razor that is exactly like this car. So we've been swapping parts all night, but now we're fixing to pull the injectors out of that car to put into this car to just see if we can get it back going. Because like, I hate to tell anybody, time's ticking. His qualifying time's at 2 p.m. Ow. I don't know where that goes either. That's...
Old Porterfield's car, everything's falling off.
No, this is typical Porterfield fashion right here. They changed the blow-up valve to a loud one, and he just throws it on there. That's so Porterfield. Oh my God.
Looks like his battery box.
I didn't know this till like a year or two ago, but the wire on a injector plug, I used to like fish this thing off. Like I would take a pocket knife and work it off. Well, like that's not really how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to just push that down as you're pulling it off. They come off real easy. So. So I'm guessing this releases the injector. Got it?
Much as you had this thing turned on and off and we ran in fuel pumps, that cylinder should have been full and like didn't hydro lock it.
I was wondering that.
I went that way when he told me that too.
All we do is try it. It ain't gonna hurt a damn thing.
Well, I'm just trying to think for our next step here if that ain't it. Like, is there a wire pinch somewhere and it's grounded? It's just the 2-ray wires and they're shorting themselves out. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I mean, at this point, if we can't get this thing to run today, I'll just have to start at the back of the pack.
That's where I was thinking. I just take a rear
As long as I can,
and it's,
I just need to run it by Thursday.
yeah. All right. If we can start it, it's time to start it.
We need to put the. We need to throw this back in because the map sensor reads in the boost tube.
Okay.
Get my arm down here.
Oh yeah.
That was way easier without tire carrier.
What do you mean why that bit off? It's got some of the greasy ass hand as well.
They're just we detail their stuff out.
Is that what I've been doing?
No, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like kicking off and
See if
sitting
you
there
can get it
crying.
kind of run in, maybe. I don't know if it's gonna be. Come back.
Yeah, but why is it cutting right? Why is it trying to cut right back off? You can give it a gas.
It may need reflashed. I had that with mine one time. Nothing was wrong. I spent a month changing parts around and pissing with it. I had the whole rear end thing changed, every sensor around. It all was reflashed. That was it.
Really?
Nothing else.
What made it need to be reflashed?
Nothing. I was trail riding it and it started acting stupid. And I mean, we wasn't even beating on it. We was just riding around on a regular weekend.
Same code it had.
It started throwing pairs, spitting and sputtering and carry on. I was just trying to get it home, and it finally died. And like I said, I brought one of my buddy X3s in, swapped every sensor part, checked everything, and then finally I took and swapped his dash and computer out, or the ECU out with mine, and it was fine. So I just took it up, got it reflashed, and it was perfectly okay after that.
Well, take the ECM off that.
Used as they are freaking identical.
one problem. All right, cool. So we can't get the car running. Everything we've changed out, tried, doesn't work. Brian and I went to Hammertown this morning and figured out we got an appointment with apparently one of the head engineers for Polaris Factory Racing. So they told us like you gotta have security. There's a security guard at the gate that you go into. They told them that we're coming, so we're fixing to haul the car up there and try to do that. Maybe they'll let us video in there, maybe they don't. But
We put the PDM fuel pump in there, wire it where it's PDM, get rid of the regulator, and close that back, and it lights thing.
said everything else was okay?
Everything else seems fine.
Okay.
And now it's got a race tune in it.
Now it's got a race tune.
Now it's got a factory Polaris race tune. Shit, yeah.
Good deal. So how are we gonna get a pump in there?
I gotta take all that back apart, and then you gotta there's a plug down underneath there that has another wire in it that is the PDM deal for the fuel pump. We have to run a wire from down there all the way back up to here.
Okay, so we need to pull the skid plates off.
Maybe, maybe not. I just need to get back there and look underneath.
Let me get this out of your way because I was gonna pull the pump out of this right here.
That's, I think, the smart play, because otherwise we don't know if we're gonna be fixed, because we're gonna have to wait to get
Well, I've got one that'll be about an hour out. So can you start working on all your stuff?
We can start working on this, and we might not have to take that apart.
Okay. Because I don't know, like you got to pull the console and everything out of that to get to the pump, I think.
Maybe.
Come here.
Maybe you do, yeah.
You said this about it? Well, guys, this is the post or video that nobody wants to do. It is Thursday morning, and Jason's supposed to be racing, and we're here. We should be
somewhere over yonder.
There. Hammertown's in the background. We kind of talked about it more, but so we just ran into a really weird running issue. The car will start up, run for anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds, idling fine, acts like it either floods out or runs out of gas, and it does either or. You would think the plugs would be blacked out, you turn the key off, start it right back up, and it starts and idles and does the same thing over again. And we knew we exhausted our efforts. We went to Polaris Ride and Drive. They give us a phone number to an engineer to where we went to a special spot over here called the 40, where Polaris was set up with their factory race team. Yesterday I was in real high hopes.
I was too, and it's been 3.5 days of,
yeah,
from the time you get out of bed until time went to bed, just wrenching, and there's been so many people have come by and tried to help. Adam Brown and Alan Clark have both been above and beyond trying to help get this thing back going. I mean, there's 150 people I could sit here and list off that came over and had an idea, put hands on it, offered parts.
Yeah.
Don Ryan and Matt Ryan drove all the way to Mexico to go get a fuel pump. Almost.
Yeah, those guys, they thought we needed a fuel pump. We thought we needed a fuel pump. They were running parts anyways, and they drove literally 4 miles away from the border to get parts and bring them back to us. When we got to factory Polaris, like, that was my biggest hope, was like, if they could plug in a factory Polaris computer to it, you would have thought we would have been able to find a sensor with some weird voltage or pressures and that. And we ran into a few things, and like, we thought we had it 3 or 4 different times, just like the other 3 or 4 days this week. And like, man, we got it now, and your hopes get up, and then it goes off, and it doesn't work. Jason was saying, I cannot thank everybody that tried to help, but ultimately we're looking for a needle in a haystack. I mean, at this point, all we can think of is there's some wire in the wiring harness that is rubbed, chafed, or something, and it's letting voltage go through, but it's not carrying any load. That's coming from Polaris engineers, and all of us really think that, because we actually had a guy in our tent, Kevin Porterfield, brought a razor, and we swapped in round parts and everything else from that thing, and we literally had every sensor we needed and everything else we needed right there to like try to make this thing run. It was just like,
I don't know if there's any other parts we could have swapped at this point. Everything that was on it got taken off and moved over and tested and back checked, and it's just a problem. And then last night about 10:30, Adam and I kind of just walked away from the crowd of people that were still over here fighting the good fight to try to get this thing to the starting line this morning. And it's like, it is 10:30, the car is not running, and we hadn't even started trying to race prep. And for a race this difficult, you can't not race prep. Like, there's no way.
The car had been, I'm not going to call it butchered, but I'm going to say the car had been torn down enough, and all the zip ties are cut on the car right now. If you see it in Hammertown, you're going to notice there's hose clamps, there's everything is everywhere.
It's a mess.
But from this point, the guys from Radflo want us to put it in their booth for the rest of the day. So it'll either be for the rest of the week in Radflo or at RCB. If you check it out, it's still a cool concept. When Jason drove the car for 3 days out here, he was blown away with it. The shocks rode amazing. They were getting better and better.
I think we were 1 or 2 shock tuning sessions away from this thing just being an absolute beast in the desert.
So
it's amazing in the rocks. The way this thing moves around the rocks is just incredible. Low center of gravity, it works. It never felt tippy. We were climbing big ledges in it. The tire, I'm super impressed with the tires in both the desert and in the rock. They tracked so well in the desert ruts, and then you get to the rocks and it's like you're on a rock tire all of a sudden.
So the car out of the box was pretty awesome. This gremlin just knocked us out. We're beat down, we're sad, we're mad, this desert beats on you. I mean, this desert's mean, so
it's time.
But this is part of racing.
Time to turn this off.
Yeah,
we've got 5 or 6 other race teams in our tent. Yesterday, 3 of the teams from our tent put cars in the top 10 qualified for the 4400 race. I'm looking forward to helping these guys try to get those cars across the line.
Yep.
We get back to Tennessee, I'm gonna put it up in my shop, get it up on the lift, and start taking stuff apart, get it figured out so it'll be ready to come back. Pennsylvania's coming up quick. Try to get the car all week prepped and ready to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can make a good first showing at Roush Creek.
Yeah. So that's the plan from here. We can't apologize enough for all the people that have followed and supported, and everybody's name on the back of this thing. Raceline, Super APV, Ober, Chip Lloyd.
Chip Lloyd, thank you, Chip Lloyd.
I mean, Ameriprise, that's Brian McVeigh. Like, you need financial advice, that's your boy.
That is the guy you want to deal with.
I mean,
Porterfield Service, Fabrication Services, PRP,
yes, sir.
RCV, Custom Splice, IBOC, Pyrotech on the helmets and stuff, Factor 55 and Warren. Those guys were really incredible.
They jumped right on board whenever we made the call to them. RCV. Yeah, thank your sponsors. Ricky says thank them.
your sponsors. Thank
Don't
you,
thank
Ricky.
all my sponsors. Thank them out loud.
Ricky fixed an axle in the desert that wasn't even broken the other day.
That was funny.
Came
Yeah.
to camp and fixed an axle in the desert that wasn't even broke.
I'm gonna shout out Ricky B, and like y'all seen him on the channel a little bit, but like me and that guy are good friends, and he hooked us up with Adam Brown, and I can't. We touched a little bit on Adam Brown, but Adam Brown like went above and beyond.
He had his own car tore apart, and he handed us his
He's
laptop to come over and pull data logs.
He's over there with a transmission tore out of his car, and he's stopping to help us think through what we got going on and everything else. Handed us his personal laptop, gave us his login, said, go data log the car and call this guy.
I have heard from him and Alan Clark every single day since we had a problem.
Alan
One
Clark-
of the two of them checking in on figuring
Alan
out.
Clark was standing in our pit tent last night when we called it. And, I mean, those guys got a big race today, and they're putting everything into it. Diddy's Big Block Race Shop, like, that guy was going to co-drive with Jason.
Yeah, drop of a hat. He was like, yeah, I'll get in the car with you.
Wizzo was, yeah, let's do it. That guy, shout out to him and Phil Licardi. They fixed the FJ Shocks the other night whenever they needed some love right off the trailer. It was, man, we've had a rough week. But then again, we've had a really good week. We made contacts that really
Will help move everything forward.
will help move the needle on this. I have really held off on building a Razor platform buggy because if things like this never happened, I didn't know who to call for help or support or anything else. And honest to God, we met a lot of cool people, and a lot of people really wanted to help, that we can call from now on, and honestly already call them friends, that really helped me be way more confident in coming into the side-by-side market with turning these vehicles from a full body machine into these buggies. And I know we're beat right now, but like, we're going to learn from it. And that's what you do with racing. And that's what's made Wide Open Design better from the start. I've been out here since 2009, and like, the stuff I've learned here is what we use in the shop every day. So I hate it for Jason. I'm so bummed for you. I'm sorry. Sorry I couldn't get it fixed for you, buddy. But
it wasn't due to lack of effort. It wasn't due to lack of effort on anybody's part.
so we've been quiet on the channel. We didn't get out all the content we wanted. We wanted to have great shock tuning videos. We wanted to have all this other stuff. It didn't happen. The car wasn't running. We've been radio silent. Tyler, you've been trying to get content. I know we just kind of been like, man, in race mode, and that's what it is. But at the end of the day, this is it. We didn't make it.
Didn't make it.
So now we're going to tow it to Hammertown, and we're going to chill for the next day, focus on the 4400 cars.
So Jason, from here, are you planning on running any of the other races for the season, or are you just going to focus on getting the car dialed?
Oh, we're absolutely going to push forward on this. This is not the end. Just because we didn't get the first big one out of the way. I mean, the time crunch this car was built in, I was bound that it was going to be something. This is not the problem I was looking at having, but no, we're going to get back to Tennessee. It's going up on the lift at the house. I'm going to tear it down and get this thing going. Look forward to racing at Roush Creek, Adventure Park. We got 2 at Beach Bend that I'm going to try to make it to. Badlands in Indiana, Crandon if it's doable. No, we're going to try to keep racing this year. The goal was to come out and try to race the season. We're just going to be behind in points taking off and do the best we can to try to make it back up. Have some fun this year.
Yeah,
Prove the machine.
absolutely. That's it.